Donald, my old friend.
Hey, bud. What's your thing? Well, I don't have to ask you today because we're fortunately actually live today together instead of on the phone, so maybe the quality will be a little better. But otherwise, man, I'm doing good.
We're sitting in the same room, man, in the barbecue barn, the tarp store.
Having some tree.
Tree.
So, what you got on your mind today, my friend?
Well, this is our 13th episode on Delphi, and it's 13. And I've been just listening to various podcasts, and of course, the ones that I listen to, I really like listening to that keep fresh content, but yet keep it within the realm. There's two of them. One is Kristen Behind the Crime Door. I really love her shows. She's bringing on some great guests recently, and she's talking about things that I find interesting. It's just realistically tackling things in a respectful way. And then also there's Sleuth over at Sleuth Intuition, and he's the coolest, slowest, deliberate dude, man. He's just the coolest thing. I mean, I like that dude. I mean, he just.
Yeah, you've mentioned him a time or two. Yeah. I haven't had the real chance to look into a bunch of his videos. Yeah. But I mean, you told him about it. He seems like he's very methodical and reasonable about his approaches.
Yeah. I mean, and like he just says, hey, we're just like we would anyway. It's like I'm not here to say this is it. This is just look at the stuff surrounding it, and take a look at it. And
that's within the realm of the possibility of this universe, at this reality. I think I had read something about, it's a more obscure one. I hate to say any names because I wouldn't know for sure, but it was about Satanists or one other some other group that is picked out just because of those type things. And it's like I'm not saying it's not possible, because it absolutely could be possible, because you could have something that somebody has a predilection and it just happened to be a Satanist, or there could be groups like that, but neither here nor there.
Well, no, you bring that up, but that's a good point, because actually the Sleuth Intuition channel, he's covered one of his POIs has some ties to Satanism or one of those groups. There's 100 of them that try to describe. I mean, to me, it's some weird, but it's like you said, it could be a cause, but I don't think the cause is Satanism in this case. I don't think that.
No. I don't think this was an act of someone doing a satanic type ritual in that type situation. I mean, again, it's within the realm of some possibilities, but is it like a real good chance that you want to waste any type of resources on? I mean, come on, if you're from the standpoint of a police detective trained with all the classic, knowledge and stuff, you look at it because, well, there is a possibility. Now, was it because he's a Satanist?
Well,
and he could be doing that, or is it because, he also fits a lot of other things, and he just happens to be a Satanist as well.
Yes.
So, there needs to be a distinction of not just picking people due to some affiliation.
That's right.
Such,
But now, there were some mentions, and this is part of this that we should look at. This is going to tie this in together really well, I think.
Go ahead.
Is that, and this is the skeptic part of me, but there was a description by the law enforcement officials about the crime scene, specifically some of the signatures or the way that it was laid out. They made mention of non-secular signatures. So like non-secular.
Right,
so
not pertaining to the secular religions of or established religions? Or,
well, no, secular means no religion involved.
Right, that's what I mean, non-secular.
So it is religion involved. They just said it in a very tricky way.
Oh, okay, I understand. It's the double negative type thing.
Yes, double negative.
Yeah. If I say I don't know nothing, that means you actually know something.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's what it sounds like, doesn't it? Because they use that word.
I see what you're saying now, right? Yeah.
Well, I hadn't even thought of that people talk about that we just kind of roll through this, and you're right, because I hadn't even thought about that before until just then. 'Cause we had no idea where we were going with this. We knew that this is our 13th, our 13th show on this topic, and that's an occultist number. The actual date that this happened was the 13th of February of 2017. And supposedly the video or bridge guy happened at 2:13 p.m. So some people, like it or not, whether you are into any kind of non-secular, beliefs,
yes.
Some people look at that stuff. I mean, I know people that follow horoscopes. I know people that read numerology. I know people that read tarot cards sometimes. So I'm just trying to say that, there are, now, I do it as a joke, mostly. Although sometimes it's really real what you see. But if somebody else who was like really, really, really into reading Ouija boards, and they got up there and they've been up for 4 days on meth, and they,
I don't discount the positive. Yeah, again,
you can create your own devil, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, you can stay up too long and entirely see all kinds of stuff. But I mean, I don't discount if someone's beliefs, in those things, because I'm not in any position to say it didn't happen. You experienced it, not me. So at the very least, I said, I would love to see some proof, but I'm not going to say, oh man, you're out your damn mind. Well, because I'm not in your mind, you are. So, but it is weird how when those things happen. There's a few times, it's just the coincidences all line up, and it's like, man, miracles.
Hey,
or,
I've heard before,
and it's cool.
There's no such thing as coincidences. There are synchronicities.
Yeah.
I mean, what is a coincidence? What's a synchronicity? I don't know. It depends on whether or not you believe in, and a lot of people do, specifically in occultist areas, they don't believe in free will. They believe that things unfold as they were supposed to according to some story. And I'm talking about a lot of religions believe that they believe in predestination.
Yeah, well, and that's true. And we're wandering a little afield of.
But that's part of the occult.
And it is part of the occult, but it actually relating to the Delphi murders. It's not something you don't want to consider and look at. I mean, by all means, look at it. It's just, I think it is, that should be something and it should have taken place, because the case has lasted long enough that the initial, the hot stuff has been investigated, that yes, they should have been chasing these weird angles of the more obscure things. So I'm glad to see they did maybe find someone doing it, but I hate it that they're, some of the things I heard it was just sensationalism and not really trying to find a justice or being, I guess, creative to it, type thing.
Well, and again, I'm not trying to say that there's any kind of quote-unquote Satanism occurred, but as a psychologist, in the frame of mind that people get themselves into, if they start staying up for 3 days on meth, they're reading their horoscopes, and they're out there digging into all this stuff, and Wiccan books are being passed around,
and they start seeing Jesus in the paint.
I mean, whatever.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. Is whatever it is. Whatever. I mean, their mind has coincided with some event that's significant to them that makes them. The old Lord, Dark Lord told me to do this, or Voldemort told me to do it. The purple spaghetti monster. It can happen. You're right. You can have a psychotic break. A snap from reality and pop. I don't think it happens as much as people make out, like in these crime dramas, or people get off of insanity. But there's no doubt it can happen. It is possible. So, again,
to me, you dig just a little bit into it. It's like they don't even have to believe. It doesn't even have to tell them to do that. But if a person starts believing in spirits and stuff, like present spirits, I mean, that's a weird thing for a lot of people to comprehend.
Well, I mean,
it's definitely non-secular.
Well, no, that's true. I mean, but now, I guess the state of the young people with religion today. Now there are so many different religions calling themselves the same thing, and all the ideas. No, my ideals are different. And when you boil it all down, if you actually are following that book, that's laid out, that hey, is an absolute great guide to life, but should not be a law unto itself. That's just my personal humble opinion. I think it's a great guide. I think you should do your best to follow it. But at the end of the day, that's what all these religions, when you say you believe in this, there where it is, it's just there's so many different ideas and obscure references to it. And then it changes up that it's hard to keep track. So, I mean, you don't have a unifying, thing like back during when everybody talked about during the 50s, the good old days when Leave It to Beaver. Gosh, Geely Wally, that type thing.
We're way past that.
I know. I know. So, it being in that, there's a possibility of that. And if that detective, if he's a detective, I would think he's stayed in his job long enough to not be chasing just rabbits. So, maybe he was on to something, even if it led to something cold. But I just don't think sensationalizing, like a few people have done, That's all I was getting at.
And you notice that we tied together drugs and Satanism because it's I think to me, just from what I can see of all the literature, is that, or, some kind of a psychotic break, and most of the time, drug-induced. Whether it be prescription pills, or alcohol, even sometimes, or
being up for 3 days, exhaustion,
meth and heroin, or these pills
which in that area, again, is most likely due to the rural area, and we already know it's a problem. I have the right to talk about it because I live in a rural area. We have that problem too. It's easy to make, and these poor people get it. And so, yes, it can happen. And then after 4 or 5 days, you have a psychotic break, and you don't know what in the hell's going on. Now, I don't think that happened with Bridge Guy at all because we have a recording deliberate trying to hide. Planning involved. But that don't mean he still didn't already have a psychotic break and still thought he had needed to do this for some shape, form, or fashion.
So we're just saying, people were talking about this being a cult, and this is our 13th thing, or the Satanism. So, we're just playing with ideas.
Absolutely.
Just because it just it's
kind of lines up.
Synchronicity, man.
And it's just, you happen to be kind of into the... a little bit. I understand. It's a hobbyist type thing.
I'm interested in it. I'm interested in that. I'm interested in like Egyptian religions and culture, and anything that those, a lot of people, whether they're in science or whether they're mystics or whatever, they look at all of the astrological things inside of the Bible. And this is big, though. You go look at... The reason I'm saying this is that you go out there and you look at what's on YouTube, and everybody's listening to YouTube. Absolutely everybody. And there's every kind of content you can imagine on here. And I really... So, the occultism perspective that I really want to take with it is that what part did it play in it? It may have played some parts. When I'm trying to find out ways to, like, say, a person that's already in some kind of a drug... bad place, and they start mixing and mingling with, because there's these mantras, and it's not just mantras, but it's stuff you read. It's a lifestyle. It's portrayed in lots of movies. This limitless, this you already feel like that from this drug, and then you're listening to, and you're in video game world, which I don't understand. I quit at Atari 2600. I hear it's more advanced now. I don't know, but so and you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not just occultism. It's non-secular because it's not everyday life involved. It's not like shit that I wake up to every day. I get up and walk 2 miles and go to work in an office and talk to thousands of people and do this and that and the other. I don't have time to see ghosts and goblins. But if I got into a drug use pattern of those heavy drugs and I took in all this content, I could see where my brain would not be in the reality I'm in now.
Oh, well, by all means. I mean, and like I say, if you go down the road of the occultism had... any shape on it, you would be looking at, you got a non-mainstream accepted religion, and I understand, not to say anything bad about it because Satanism can be a actual religion.
It is.
And I don't understand it. but I have no problem with someone practicing as long as it, you know, is nonviolent and they don't impose, you know, any of the stuff we see in movies. But there's the thing is, I don't know enough about the actual thing to make a judgment. But neither here nor there. This is for the sake of examples, you know.
What I'm saying is that there's a First Amendment.
Right, yeah. But yes, I can see where, you know, the non-standard thinking, especially in some of the more extreme versions of this, where you got people, you know, they're on extreme drug use, violent past, you know, some other emotional problems, maybe psychological already, and then they're, you know, oh, my Lord and Master, you know, Gandalf or whatever had told me to do this, or, you know, to find girls, or any number of a million things. It may have just said do bad crap.
Yeah.
You know, drink your own pee. Who knows? But at one point or another, people think that kind of acting and stuff is crazy. So, you know, people tend to keep it quiet. So, yeah, sometimes those quiet folks can have those, and, you know, you'd never know it. That's why I was like, he was always so quiet whenever he snapped and shot the dog 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you see, think about it. If you go read the stats on it, people have those psychological breaks. 1 in 60 people have them within like a 2-year period. So if you know 120 people, you're going to know at least one person is having a psychotic break that year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, and
then when you throw in drugs, which is a very good possibility in this case, it does lead some credits to it. And obviously someone has been investigating. And I mean, I don't know all the details. The few that Sleuth, you said that. I know he's a fairly.
I'm way off from Sleuth. We are up in the weeds.
I thought you had said. Okay, I apologize.
Did you not see me hitting that snake a few minutes ago? We up in the weeds now, man.
You and the extremums one. Okay.
This is the occult one. This is the one where you see if this is involved in it. Me and you think it's bullshit. Okay, be honest with you. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But we're just playing along here to say, well, how could we find ways for this to be a part of it? What does Satanism mean? What could it even do? When I've seen the leaders, hell, they had the president of the Satanism of America, whatever the hell that is. He's been on Coast to Coast AM. He's been on all kinds of shows. He's been on NPR and Fox News, I think. You know, so he's been everywhere.
But I mean, you know, and just keeping the thing with the occult, and, you know, not saying they're not Satanists. I mean, again, I was not doing it to judge anybody. You know, Wiccans. A lot of people don't know enough about Wiccans.
That's a very peaceful dressing.
Well, but you know, then you get but there's according, you know, the little bit of stuff. You got black ones, you got white ones, you got gray. You've got different practices of the same thing that is considered Wiccan. I mean, it's like being a Christian. Christian covers a whole umbrella of different things.
It's huge.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's the same things on all these religions. You know, and I don't know them all because they've just never held. You know, my interest because of my personal beliefs, and you know, but I like to know a little bit about a few of them to at least have a sense of, if I hear it, I go, well, is that kind of this? I'm trying not to be just insulting if I ask a question out of curiosity.
Think about this. You know? In every religion, you probably have a left wing, a right wing, and some people in the middle.
Yes,
most of them in the middle, but you're going to have people that are way out here honking horns and people out here honking horns.
Yeah.
And let's keep them out there. Okay?
But now I like to deal with that sweet spot in the middle. Yeah. Oh, now God, we don't. This ain't that type show, Brad. Go ahead.
It's the occult. It's the occult. You know? This is the occult. Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, you know, those in the middle, you know, the little interaction and time I've been able to ask a few questions from folks, just out of curiosity. You know, I was trying to be unoffensive or non-offensive, excuse me, and you know, just ask out of strict curiosity, and they were happy to talk to me about it. You know, so
me too.
You know, so I don't think that they're tied in any shape, form, or fashion, but I am glad to see maybe if that story was true, a POI, they did take the time to at least investigate it somewhat as an option.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a remote sliver of truth to it. But neither here nor there.
Well, you know, most of the people that I know that are involved in the occult they're kind of playful with it, kind of like I would be, and it's not really. I mean, occult. It's just like learning about things. It's kind of curious. But I think that, you know, what people are scared of are people that get extremists with it, that go too far into it, that go beyond just learning about it. And, you know, and of course, I don't think that would ever be the cause of this. I don't think there's a devil in there that's going to jump out and make somebody do something. But I think that if you go down that road, people, if they're already in a very bad psychological state, if they're on drugs, and there are other factors that are fed into it, lots of stress, lots of things going on, you could get people that do things in that manner, that kind of follow the rituals associated with whatever the weird kind of shit they're studying, you know. So anyway, I don't think it's the cause. I think that whoever did it, they may have delved in that. I don't know. I can't even begin to even imagine that. But if they did, I don't think it would be the cause of this death, of these murders.
No. I mean, at the end, it's probably going to be an everyday average person you wouldn't know. Just that the devil's there, but it's always been there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it ain't the devil that everybody makes out that's underground or in hell or, you know, Hades. I mean, you pick the religion, and the bad guy on that side of the religion, and you got a good guy on all these religions, and whatever the name you wish to call it. You know, he didn't show up and do anything. That one was already in that person's mind, you know, because it's just when you look at just the videos and those type things. I mean, you know, it was methodical. Maybe not necessarily planned. It could have been a spur of the moment, but it was an intent to the walking and and the girls down the hill. You know, there was an intent to it. So,
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
All right. So a lot of people I see in this community want to add multiple people to it. They want to have multiple people involved in this murder. What do you think about that?
No, I don't really see that. I mean, I just think, you know, and again, this is just from observations and, you know, the little things I know. I think the girls were just alone. I think this person was, whether they knew them or not, they were just intimidating enough and they were scared.
Yeah.
And, you know, and depending on how sheltered they were in terms of, you know, we had the discussion before about the younger folks, you know, they don't know a stranger because they've grown up with talking to a faceless name on the computer.
Yeah.
And so when they get there and then, you know, a little naive, you know, they were delving into things, you know, that's come out about the catfishing they were playing or not, whether that was involved with the murder or not. They were doing things they weren't supposed to. So I just think that there didn't have to be two people. I think the guy woke up there, you know, in an authoritative manner and they were naive enough to think he's just going to carry us down here and scare us. And so they kind of complied. Yeah. And then, of course, you know, he was able to incapacitate one and then have one all to his lonesome, you know, do what he wished. And so, no, I just don't believe it would be two like that. You know, and just don't sound right for a conspiracy. By now, you know, somebody would, you know, you're going to keep a secret. You know, if two people know it, you're going to really keep a secret if one of them's dead. So, you know, if ever it's a conspiracy, I just kind of feel maybe that would have come out. But now, again, we're seeing, of course, that new stuff. You'd have to go back a couple casts about the sheriffs and the cover-up with the drugs with the and some of that. You know, of course, that's different cast, different subjects. So, but, you know, how are we on time, man? I don't have to be going here in a few minutes.
Well, I think that we done jabbered along here about the occult, but we do appreciate everyone dropping by and listening to our little jibber jabber. I mean, there's probably some birds. It's still daylight, so there's probably just birds and no crickets tonight. But we appreciate you stopping by and listening to us.
All right, have a good one.
Out.